Everyone, this is Shazam, and I'm coming at you with my first video. It will be a Commander EDH deck tech, and today I am going to show you my Ulasht the Hate Seed deck. Keep in mind this is kind of a budget deck. Most of my videos will be about budget decks. And that's just because I don't like to spend more than $10 per card. So you won't see things like doubling season in here. But I do have some cards that are kind of on the expensive side, but they're things that I picked up when they were not expensive. So first we have Ulasht the Hate Seed. He is my commander. I call this my Hail Hydra deck. It has a small Hydra sub-theme. He is 2, a red and a green. For a legendary Hydra creature, he comes into play with +1/+1 counters for each red and each green creature I control. So he can get pretty big. Also, he has the ability to, for 1 colorless mana, remove a +1/+1 counter from him, and he can deal 1 damage to target creature, or put a 1/1 green Saproling token into play, so he can be pretty good. We're going to move on to our basic lands here. So we have 7 mountains. Red's kind of a splash in this deck, really. And we have 18 forests. Next we're going to move on to, get back there. Going to move on to the non-basic lands. So first we have Forgotten Cave, just a good cycling card in case I already have too many lands. Kessig Wolf Run. Now this card, what you do is you can pay X, a red and a green, and tap it, and target creature gets +X/+0 and trample until end of turn. So if I have a 10/10, which is pretty easy to do in this deck, I can really, if I have 10 mana, I can pour into it and it just adds 7 or 8 extra power and gives it trample, and sometimes that can just win you the game right there. Nixthos, Shrine to Nyx. I have a lot of heavily colored cards in this deck, so it's a really good mana ramp card. Temple of Abandon. Colony Garden just puts a green plant creature on the battlefield, and it does count for Ulasht's first ability. Mosswort Bridge, it's just a good hideaway card, so it's pretty cool. Evolving Wilds. Opal Palace puts more counters on Ulasht, why not? Contested Cliffs. Target beast you control fights target creature and opponent controls. I do have several beasts in this deck also, so it's nice, and they're big, so it's just good removal on a land. Temple of the False Gods, pretty much a staple in EDH. Tranquil Thicket, just another cycling card. Gruul Guildgate, good mana fixing. Vivid Crag, also a little bit of mana fixing. Ancient Ziggurat, kind of mana fixing. I run 30 creatures in this deck, so there are not very many times when I can't spend mana on a card. And of course Command Tower, pretty much in every EDH deck. Now we're going to move on to the creatures, if I can pick them all up here. Yeah, okay. So first we have Mistcutter Hydra. He's a green and an X, and then he enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters. Usually I can get him out for 8 or 9 pretty easily. He can't be countered, and he has haste, and he has protection from blue in general. Now this is really good. I don't have a Cavern of Souls in my deck. It is a $60 card right now. And, I do have a Cavern of Souls, and sometimes I do put it in this deck, but right now it's in a different deck, so just the fact that he can't be countered and he has haste and pro blue, I mean, you can't really get rid of him for. I have several blue mages at my tables and they just can't do anything against him. Gear Sage, good mana ramp. Genesis Hydra, it's a pretty good creature, and it also lets me get a non-land permanent for my deck, so that's always nice. Apocalypse Hydra, I mean, this thing can get huge. If you pour even just 7 mana into it, it's a 10/10, and that's just ridiculous. Vastwood Hydra, I can spread my counters from him whenever he dies. Molded Chandlers, it's kind of like good mana ramp / it can be a big beefy creature too. So that's nice, and I get to know what the top card of my library is. Mana Gorger Hydra, the funny thing is, I was playing the other night with some guys, and they didn't remove this for a long time, and it became a 30/30. So it was pretty ridiculous. Mina and Den Wildborn, they're basically in here for more mana ramp. I mean, a 4/4 for 4 isn't bad. I can play an additional land each turn, so if I have extra lands in my hand, that's great. And they can have like a situational target creature gains trample. So trample is really important. Speaking of trample, Nylea, God of the Hunt, very often does she become a creature, and I mean other creatures that control gain trample, so that's a really good ability. Plus she has a mana sink ability too. So Spellbreaker Behemoth can't be countered, and anything that I control with power 5 or greater can't be countered. So again, really just anti-blue. Fungal Behemoth, power and toughness are equal to the number 1/1 counters on each creature you control. Very good for this deck. Rorschin Meander, I have I think 10 spells total in my deck that rely on X costs. So I mean, just to add 4 just from a creature is great ramp for that. Xenagos, again, he becomes a creature quite often, and with him and Keswick Wolfrun, if I do both of them, one creature can pretty much just end in someone's life, pretty much. So it's a really good card. Garruk's Pack Leader, I get to draw cards, so it's pretty nice. It's a good draw spell. Hero's Bane enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, so it's pretty good. And you can double it for 4 mana, so it can get pretty out of hand. Acidic Slime, I mean, it's just removal, really. Plus, it'll usually take a creature with it, so it's a good card. Hydra Omnivore, I mean, an 8/8 for 6 with no downside is just amazing. Plus the fact that whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. It's crazy. Vigor, this card is so funny because like people will try to attack me and not read this card, and I'll block with a Hydra and it just gets crazy. Hydra Brewmaster, it is a game ender. A set of 6 mana 7/7 with that ability is just yeah. Rampaging Baelos, trample for 6, it's great. And whenever I put more lands on the battlefield, get more beasts, so. Avengers Zendikar, pretty much a staple in most green decks. Gruul Rage Beast, basically, it's kind of like pseudo removal. Like, you play him, and every other creature that I put out in after him is going to fight another person's creature, and my creatures are going to be bigger than theirs. Hamlet Black Goliath, again, this card will just get out of control. I play a 10 mana Hydra, they're coming with 8 or 9 counters, and he just gets 8 or 9 counters. It's ridiculous. Spearbreaker Behemoth, he's indestructible. and I can just pay 1 to make another one of my creatures indestructible, which is really nice. Here's kind of an expensive card, Craterhoof Behemoth. I got this when it was a $5 card, so it's like $25 now. So if you don't have this, that's okay. This is kind of just a win more card, really, so you don't need this one, but it is a good card. Naya Soul Beast, Trample. This can kind of be a hit or miss card. Each player reveals top card of their library, and when he enters the field, he gets X +1/+1 counters, where X is the total converted mana cost of all the cards. So if you're playing with 3 other people, you might just get like 2 lands and like a 2-drop and like a 4-drop, and then it's like not worth the 8 mana. But sometimes, you can hit some really big spells, and then, and you kind of get to know what the other people are going to draw. So I oftentimes get this at least for an 8/8. So, and Terastodon rounds out the creatures. He is a 9/9 for 8 mana, so not too bad. And I get to blow up 3 non-creature permanents. So if somebody's got a Cabal Coffers, if somebody has a really annoying Planeswalker, I mean, this card definitely does work. So we're going to get on to the rest of the cards. We're going to start with the instants and sorceries, and then go to the other cards after that. So first we have Savage Summoning, which it can't be countered, and the next creature card that I cast has flash and can't be countered and has an additional +1/+1 counter. So, if it's turn 5, and I Savage Summoning like Ulasht, and maybe he was only going to be a 4/4, he turns into a 5/5, and since I can do this at instant speed, I can play him on someone else's turn, so that's really good, I think. Worldly Tutor, again, it's like an $8 card, so it's not too expensive, but it is kind of pricey. And it just searches my library for a card, and it puts it on the top of my library. I kind of wish I'd put it in my hand, but that'd be busted. So, yep, just a good tutor. Signal of the Clans, kind of a fun tutor. I'm going to search my library for 3 creature cards and reveal them, and then put basically 1 at random in my hand and the other 2 in my library. I don't mind, because I'm going to grab 3 creatures that I just really want to have. So, and this can hit both gods that are in the deck too. So that's always nice. A Tarkus Command. This is a pretty decent card. If you're playing against life gain, like a Loro or something, the first ability with your opponents can't gain life this turn is really important. The deals 3 damage to each opponent is not too bad either, just because there have been several games where someone is just dangling there with like 2 or 3 hit life, and they're waiting for their turn to come back around so they can gain life or do something, and you can just Tarkus Command them and kill them right there. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Also, it can be another ramp card, really. And creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain reach until end of turn. This card has actually saved me several times with that ability, because I don't have flyers in this deck and I don't have reach in this deck. So the ability to have reach to like save a planeswalker or just save me from like an angel army or something is really, really impactful. So it's a good card. Corrosive Grip, split second, destroy target artifact or enchantment. It's kind of pricey at 3 mana, but split second basically means it can't be countered, and so I mean they just have to destroy that. So it's pretty good. Hull Breach, we're getting into our sorceries now. Destroy target artifact or target enchantment or both. I don't know why you wouldn't do both. So, but yeah, it's a good card. It can hit 2 things. Savage Twister, here's another X card. It deals X damage to each creature. Usually this is actually a pretty good card because I can do something like Savage Twister for 6 mana, so it'll hit everything for 4, and almost all of my creatures are 5 or better. So it won't kill my creatures, but it'll kill a lot of other creatures. So I think that's actually a pretty decent card. Moving on to some ramp. Got Cultivate. This is Fire Spout. I mean, this is for... It's not really a board wipe because 3 damage doesn't kill everything. But if you're playing against a token deck, Fire Spout's really good. Some more ramp with Kadama's Reach. Deep Renaissance also. Got Harmonize. 4 mana, draw 3 cards. What's wrong with that? Decimate, destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, and target land. I usually don't like destroying land. The only time I will destroy land is if it's something absurd like Cabal Coffers, maybe even a... it's just land destruction, especially with who I play with, is frowned upon. So I usually try to use it pretty politically. Some more ramp with Skyshroud's Claim, probably one of the best ramp cards in my opinion. Explosive Vegetation, good. Primal Command, I usually end up using this card to just tuck somebody's card. If they have like an Avacyn or something, like I can't really get rid of it. I don't have a lot of exile in here. So usually what I'll do is I'll put it on top of their library and then I'll just shuffle their library. But you can also search, your library for a card, which is pretty powerful. Overwhelming Stampede, I mean, it's just a game ender. Seasons Past, in case I'm running into someone with, they're going for like a mill strategy or something. And I don't have Praetor's Council, but I think you can kind of sub Seasons Past and Praetor's Council for one another. So, and then I have Boundless Realms. This is just like... 7 mana, you're at least going to hit 7 lands with this card. So you're going to have, if you use it on turn 7, you have 14 lands. I mean, you can just do whatever you want after that. So it's a great card. I only have 3 artifacts. And so those 3 artifacts are Soul Ring, because it's a staple. Fire Shrieker. Fire Shrieker is just a really good card. Gives whatever I want double strike. If I give a 10/10 Hydra a double strike, then that's a 20 power coming at you. It's scary. Mage Slayer. I've won so many games with Mage Slayer because when I attack, it deals damage to the defending player equal to its power. So again, if I'm swinging at somebody with just something absurd. I have gotten like 20/20s, and you just swing at them, and just by swinging without them blocking or anything, you already deal 20. So it's broken, I think. Next, we have the enchantments and the planeswalkers. So first we have Rancor. It's a good card. It's a 1 mana aura, +2/+0, and has trample, and I can put it back in my hand. Fires of Yavimah for haste. Asceticism. So again, basically just hexproof for all my creatures. Primal Vigor. This is like, I guess, the budget version of Doubling Season. It does have a drawback with your opponents also get counters of things and tokens of things whenever they play something that has counters or tokens. But since my deck is more based around that, I usually just, I can play it and not really be impacted all too much. Primeval Bounty, again, just a really decent enchantment. Warstorm Surge, whenever a creature in its battlefield, under my control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So again, 10/10 Hydra, there you go, 10 damage to the face. Domi Raid, a really good planeswalker, kind of gives me a card advantage and can kill some creatures too. So plus his emblem is insane. Sarkhan Vol, I really don't use him for his -6, but His -2 has won me the game several times. I have a friend who plays like Iona and like Avacyn and just all these big beefy angels. And just recently he played Brasilla, and so I actually took control of Brasilla and just swung at him with that and just won me the game. So it's a pretty good card. Xenagos, adding mana is always good, and just giving me a red and green creature, which again puts more counters on Ulasht, so can't complain there. And then Garruk, I mean, I hate to say it, but I usually just -3 him and kill him, just because usually I'll have, you know, something with power 6 or greater, and I think, you know, 5 mana, draw 6 cards is pretty good. So I usually just don't do anything else with him. Sometimes maybe I'll do a +1, but usually I just use him for his -3. So that is my Ulasht the Hate Seed deck. And join me next time. I will be uploading a video about Phoenix. So I'm going to be doing a mill commander video. Well, until next time, I'll see you guys later.